Little Rock, Arkansas, a small city in the middle of the American South. It has tree-lined streets, old wooden houses, and quiet parks where people often walk their dogs or jog in the early morning. On an autumn afternoon in 2015, when the red leaves began to fall in the first cold wind of the season, Chalamont Park was like every other day, deserted, quiet, and seemingly isolated from the hustle and bustle of the outside world. In the distance, a silver Volkswagen parked quietly under a tree. No one noticed. No one found it strange, but there was one thing that was wrong. A strong, musty smell, part sewer, part something decomposing, wafted through the cold air, hitting the nose of anyone passing by. A brief shiver passed, but then everyone walked away, reassuring themselves that it was just the smell from a sewer that had not been cleaned for a long time. A few feet away, in an old manhole cover, was what would shake the city for the next 3 years. On October 24, 2015, a strange call was made that evening. Ebie Steppach, an 18-year-old girl, called her younger brother, her voice trembling, "I'm outside your house." In the car. But when Trevor ran out, it was completely silent. Little did anyone know that would be the last time the family would hear Ebie's voice. 3 days later, Ebie's silver Volkswagen was found in Chalamont Park. Inside were her phone, her wallet, her expensive makeup, everything Ebie held dearest, strewn about as if someone had rummaged through it in a panic or in desperation. But Ebie was not there. The police arrived late. Very late. They took no pictures, no cordoned off, no trace. They left the trunk open, letting the rain pour down, erasing any trace that might have been left behind, and then they came to a simple conclusion: maybe she ran away. Ebie was never seen again. She seemed to have vanished from this world. Until 3 years later, when a former police officer, not out of duty, but out of indifference, returned to the park, stood in front of the old manhole cover, and decided to open it. A foul odor rose up. And what lay beneath the deep hole was something no one could have imagined. Ebie Steppach, 18, went missing on October 24, 2015, shortly after announcing that she would report 4 men who had raped her at a party. 3 days later, her car was found abandoned in Chalamont Park in Little Rock, Arkansas. Police did not immediately launch an investigation, believing Ebie was just a rebellious teenager who ran away from home. 3 years later, her body was discovered in a manhole, just steps away from where her car had been parked. Who was the killer? Why was he so cruel? And what made the entire legal system ignore such a painful disappearance? How could a little girl open a 200-pound manhole cover and crawl into a pipe just 12 inches wide? Why did the police ignore all the signs of trouble? And, if Ebie called 911 before she disappeared, why is there no record of the call? Is someone trying to cover something up? And if so, who are they? Welcome to the investigation of the Ebie Steppach case, a tragedy that has outraged America, and is a never-ending pain for the loved ones she left behind. Join us as we uncover each clue, uncover each layer of mystery, to find justice for a girl who once bravely spoke the truth and paid with her own life. Ebie Steppach, an 18-year-old girl, 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing just over 110 pounds, living in Little Rock, Arkansas. Ebie's family used to be a dream home, loving parents, well-behaved younger brother and sister. But life was not always peaceful. Ebie's parents divorced, and her mother remarried a man named Michael. Fortunately, Ebie loved her stepfather like her own. They often talked intimately, went out to eat, and went out like two grown friends. Ebie was not a weak girl. She was individualistic, lively, and determined. She once shared that she wanted to become a hairdresser. Ebie was passionate about beauty, loved fashion, and took great care of herself. On the outside, she was a cheerful young woman, but on the inside, she was struggling with invisible pain, things that people only understood later. In 2015, Ebie left her parents' house to live with her grandparents, saying that she wanted to be independent. But from then on, she started hanging out with friends, going to parties, dropping out of school, and gradually drifting away from her previous gentle life. However, everyone knew that Ebie was an emotional person. Even when she was impulsive, she would visit her younger sister, text her mother, and talk to her stepfather. Until one fateful day, everything changed forever. On October 22, 2015, after a party, Ebie returned home in a state of panic, shaking and crying. She told Michael, her stepfather, that she had been sexually assaulted by 4 boys, and that they had even filmed it. She wanted to report it. Michael advised her to report it immediately, but Ebie asked for the night off to calm down. The next morning, Ebie texted Michael, "I'm ready. Come with me to the police station." But Ebie never arrived. Meanwhile, she texted at least 2 of the suspects, the people she said had hurt her. The content of the messages is unclear, but it seems she asked them to hand over the video. She may have been looking for evidence to report the assault. Then Ebie disappeared. The police did question the 4 after public pressure mounted. But they simply asked, "Did you do anything?" And when they said no, the investigation was over. They did not search their phones, they did not verify their evidence, they did not open a criminal investigation. The boys, whose names have never been revealed, disappeared from the law, leaving countless unanswered questions. Ebie's silver Volkswagen was found in a deserted Chalamont Park. The interior was in disarray, with items strewn about. Strangely, all of his personal belongings were intact: his phone, his cash, his contact lenses, and even his expensive makeup case, which he had always guarded. The car's engine was off, but the keys were still in the ignition. The gas tank was empty. The battery was dead. It looked like someone had run the car until it was completely drained, then left it. The police didn't check the cameras around the park, didn't check for cell phone signals, didn't cordon off the scene, even letting the rain flood the car and wash away all traces. The way they did it made many people believe they didn't want to find out the truth. Just a few feet from the car, an old manhole cover smelled strongly. Many searchers had complained about the stench, but the police dismissed it. It must be dead rats. They were wrong. Horribly, the Ebie family couldn't wait. They hired veteran private investigator T.J. Ward, who had worked on the disappearance of Natalie Holloway. Ward met with the park ranger who had called the police when he found the car, but had never been interviewed. He said he saw Ebie 3 times in the park, the last time the night she disappeared, with a guy named Eric, Ebie's ex-boyfriend. Eric said Ebie seemed sad and anxious that day, but nothing too out of the ordinary. She didn't talk about being attacked, nor did she mention plans to report anyone. Ward became suspicious. He returned to the scene and opened the old manhole cover. A narrow pipe, only a foot wide and nearly 80 feet long. When he shined a light inside, he and his team saw an object blocked at the deepest part. When they dug up and opened the pipe from the back, they found human remains. DNA results confirmed it was Ebie Steppach. To this day, no one has been arrested. No one has been charged. Little Rock police once put forward a creepy and absurd theory: maybe Ebie killed himself by going into the manhole. But the argument goes, a 110-pound, 5'10" woman could not have opened a 220-pound manhole cover, entered the cramped pipe, closed it, and crawled 70 feet down. Moreover, Ebie was planning to report the crime, not give up. She even texted a friend to meet for ice cream after reporting it. She showed no signs of wanting to end her life, so who did it? Who lured Ebie to the park, killed her, and hid the body? And why? Many believe that the men who raped Ebie were afraid of being reported. They may have had relatives in the police or the government, which would explain why all the investigations were inexplicably quashed. Maybe they lured Ebie to the park, pretended to hand over the video, and then covered up the evidence. That is why the Ebie Steppach case is not just a missing person case, it is a mirror of the ruthless indifference of a lax legal system where justice is only for the strong. There was no trial, no defendant, no sentence. All the Steppach family got back after 3 years of searching for their daughter was a cold notice: Ebie's body found in a sewer. No arrests, no second summons. The police maintained their stance: there is no evidence of a crime. Ebie tried to press charges. Ebie called 911 twice, but there was no record of the call. She begged for protection from the very people who were supposed to protect the public, but was met with indifference. The day the body was confirmed to be Ebie's, her mother, Lori, sat motionless in her small room. Her eyes were blank. "I knew she was there," she said, "but I didn't expect it to be right under everyone's feet. A death without an explanation. A pain that no one was responsible for. A justice that never came." Less than a year after Ebie's body was found, the Steppach family suffered a second shock. Trevor, Ebie's younger brother, died of a sudden heart attack, 2 children gone within 4 years. "I don't believe in light anymore," Lori said. "Every morning I wake up and ask myself, how am I still alive? The house that was once filled with laughter is now filled only with the sound of wind coming through the windows." A photo of Ebie in her graduation cap still hangs on the wall, right next to her favorite dressing table. Neighbors still talk about a beautiful girl who used to ride her bike around the park, dream of opening a hair salon, and cry over a sad movie. But then one day, as if an invisible door opened, swallowing all her dreams, and no one could stop it. The articles about Ebie are getting less and less frequent. But for her mother, the pain never goes away. Ebie's death is more than a personal tragedy, it's a chilling reminder of how society treats victims of sexual abuse. Ebie tried to speak out, but no one believed her. No one helped her. They said she was just a rebellious kid, she ran away, she went to parties, anything could happen. When a woman has the courage to speak out, the first thing she faces is not justice, but suspicion. The police said, "She's 18, she doesn't need a guardian." They said, "There's no sign of abduction." They said, "She probably ran away." How many girls like Ebie have had their cries for help ignored? How many families like the Steppachs have been left behind? Groping in the dark, this is not just a case. This is a collective failure of a system that once vowed to protect its citizens. Some pains are not expressed in tears, but in the silence of an entire house. If only one person had spoken up sooner, would the tragedy have happened? A girl who dreamed of becoming a hairdresser. A fateful night. A sewer. And the cold indifference of an entire city. Ebie Steppach, that 18-year-old girl, was not protected. But her story could be a wake-up call for this society to start listening to the smallest cries, before it is too late.